Markets down by more than 1%. Vodafone to issue an FPO. Japan's MUFJ to show interest in HDFC Bank's HDB Financial arm, and several other interesting news coming up today. But before we begin, let us take a quick look at what happened in the market. The Nifty 50 fell by 234 points today, down 1.03% from yesterday's level. Almost all of the sectors, including Nifty Small Cap 250, Nifty Mid Cap 150, and all the other major indexes like Sensex also shed more than 500 points. So it was a bad day at the market. In terms of the top gainers in the NSE index today were Divis Laboratories, Bajaj Auto, Tata Motors, TCS and Nestle India. The top losers in the NSE were Sun Pharma, Maruti Suzuki, Power Grid, Titan and ONGC. In terms of the stocks which did very well in terms of the average volume traded today, the top of them were Maharashtra Seamless Limited, which traded at 22 times its average volume. Following this was Metropolis Healthcare Limited, VST Industries, SIS Limited, Concord Biotech Limited, Quest Corp Limited, CDSL or Central Depository Services Limited and Radico Khaitan. All of these stocks traded at more than 7 times their normal average volumes. So it makes sense to go and check down the fundamental and technical stages of this stock to take informed decisions. In terms of the stocks which did very well in the price move today, the highest price mover for the day was Hindustan Zinc, which rose by 7.6% even on a day in which the Nifty itself fell by more than 1%. CDSL grew by 6.7% today. Archean Chemical Industries grew by 6.3%. Quest Corp, Nuvama Wealth Management, KEI Industries, Mahindra Lifespace Development Limited and Sona BLW Precision Forgings, all of these companies grew by more than 4% today. Now coming to the most important news. First of all, the news regarding the fall in the Nifty 50 as well as the US markets overnight. This was basically because the US March inflation data came in hotter than expected, with a 3.5 increase in consumer price for the year to March due to rising fuel and housing cost. Even on a month-to-month basis, the CPI inflation rate increased by 0.4%. This was because of the rising fuel and the housing costs. This has raised the probability that the US Federal Reserve will maintain a status quo in June. That means that there will be no rate cuts in June. And there are many people who are now also doubting whether the US Federal Reserve will actually make more than 2 rate cuts this particular year, which means that the interest rates in the markets will remain longer, and whenever there is a higher interest rate in the market, it is not good for global equity systems. Okay, this was the reason why the markets had a negative sentiment since yesterday in the US market, and which also showed today in the Indian market, which made both the US Dow Jones as well as the Indian Nifty index and Sensexes fall by a majority margin today. And unless and until CPI inflation rates have not come under the particular targets which the US Federal Reserve wants, then it makes no sense for them to actually lower the rates. So this is why the markets reacted negatively. Now the second most important news coming from Vodafone Idea. They said on Friday that they would raise up to rupees 18,000 crores later this month through a sale of new shares in what will be the country's biggest FPO. Now FPO is a follow-on public offering. Now the FPO will open on 18th April and it will close on 22nd April. The Vodafone group says that they want to use rupees 12,750 crores for expansion of their 4G services as well as setting up of 5G services throughout the country. And more than 2,000 crore of this money is going to be used to repay back the debts that they had on the spectrum they had bought with the help of the government. The third most interesting news for the day comes from Japan's Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, which is also known as the Japan's MUFG Group, who are in talks to invest $2 billion in HDFC Bank's NBFC arm HDB Financials at a valuation somewhere between $7 billion to $10 billion. This investment is also likely to come before the company makes its IPO. Recently, the HDFC Bank had told the media that they would be making the IPO of HDB Financials later this year. So this investment is supposed to have before this particular period of time. HDFC Bank owns 95% stake in HDB Financial. If this deal goes through, then this would be one of the biggest financial sector deals involving lenders of 2 different countries. The next important source of news comes from the fact that there are negative news for the oil marketing companies like ONGC and Reliance Industries, as IEA predicts a slower global demand for oil both this year as well as the next year. Now, why is this so? This is because they said that the post-COVID demand rebound has already taken place, and also as more and more EV and EV fleets come into the infrastructure system, and as well as with better BSC norms vehicles as well as better efficiency vehicles, the global oil demand will supposedly grow down slowly. So the IEA has maintained and trimmed the growth outlook for 2024 by 1.3 million barrels per day to 1.2 million barrels per day. The total demand is still expected to average at around 103 million barrels a day. The next information coming in from Godrej Phillips India board, they said that they have decided to exit operations of their retail business division under the name 24/7. Now 24/7, which used to sell groceries for everyday needs, prepared meals, drinks, cosmetics and personal hygiene items, and films as well as other magazines. The company informed the exchanges today that this decision to exit 24/7 was taken after careful analysis of the business performance of the company from its start, the company's long-term vision, as well as a key intake was also taken from the stakeholder feedbacks. Nextly, computer age management systems CAMS stock surged 4% on the NSE today, trading at rupees 3,173 at one point of time after they received the notification authorization from RBI to operate as an online payment aggregator under their payments part, which is known as CAMS Pay. Nextly, Happiest Minds Technologies Limited shares were up 1.1% on the index after the companies announced that they are going to collaborate with Enercon, which is a wind energy technology company, to drive sustainable wind energy solutions. Now, Happiest Minds is into IT services, so this marks something very different from what they normally do. So, Happiest Minds will also serve as a long-term development partner for Enercon's onshore wind energy expansion efforts. More news on this would be coming within this week. And finally, Morgan Stanley have created a report on India's cement sector, in which they have maintained equal weight to ACC. They have downgraded their optimism on Ambuja Cement. They have downgraded to equal weight from overweight on Grasim Industries. They have maintained overweight on Ultratech Cement, which is the country's largest cement provider, and they have maintained an overweight and also cut targets on several other cement companies in the country. So I hope you guys found all of this information very helpful for setting up tomorrow's trade session so that you can take informed decision. Remember, all of these are excellent sources of information which will help you stay ahead of most of the people in the market. It is very necessary that you follow the market on a regular basis to make the most out of it. Also, if you like the content, please quickly drop a like and subscribe to my channel. See you soon in the next video. Bye.